George, when I see you've had a kind of a couple weeks here to get acclimated, but what it's been like the first couple days actually being out in the field with the kids.
You know what? I've had a chance to go out there and work out with them during the winter workouts, and it just surprises me. I'm amazed at how hard these guys push out there. You know, I've been a part of many different programs, played a little ball myself, and their work ethic right now, they're really pushing. You know, a group of good young guys at receiver right now, and you know, they're sort of learning how we operate, because they've only been here for a year or two, some of them, but they're starting to get it and they're starting to come along, and even today was a really good practice for us. You know, the way they're out there competing, executing the plays, knowing their responsibilities, that's something that we just need to keep on building on.
Did you see a difference in them being on the field and winter workouts?
You know, it is different. When you're working out, it's a completely different environment. When you're on the field and you're really competing out there, playing the sport that you love, they come alive out there, and it's nice to see. I mean, as they should. But you really see their enthusiasm and their excitement to be out there, even though, you know, sometimes that can wear on as practices go along. But they're doing a hell of a job out there competing and making plays.
Sure, what's the most important thing for you in this month of workouts in terms of just what you want to accomplish with them to get everybody on the same page?
I think that's pretty much exactly what you said, is to get everyone on the same page. You know, last year there was a little bit, you know, as far as understanding the offense. When you come into a new situation like Coach Holtz has 2 years ago, you know, you implement a new offensive system. Now, usually by year 3, the guys really start to grasp and understand all the intricacies of that offense. And at this point in time, during spring ball, we really want to see them take heed to all the coaching rules and going out there and just executing. Because what we will ideally, throughout spring ball, by the time we get to fall, we want to take all the thinking out of it. We just want them to go out there and just play and react and just be the athletes that they were brought here to be. And so that's primarily, I think, our goal is to be on the same page and to go out there and execute as best we can.
What are your impressions of the talent that you have to work with? It's now a more deeper wide receiving core.
Absolutely. I think, you know, if you look at the last 2 years, there were a couple injuries throughout the course of the year, and that gave other young receivers opportunities to play. So when you come into a situation like we are right now, you got some guys who have some game experience, and I can tell you one thing: there's nothing that can substitute for game experience. You can practice, you can do all the winter workouts, we can draw up all the little drawings we want to do on the board and whatnot, but being out there in that game environment, competing, executing plays, and just, you know, becoming a playmaker is essential for that group. And, you know, as we go along in this process, you can start to see, you know, guys are hungry out there. They know the situation, because if you look at it across the board, everyone's kind of somewhat balanced as far as what they've done. So during spring ball and fall, you really like to see that the guys rise to the top who are going to be our starters.
How much do you utilize your college and professional experience in terms of relating to these kids and adding credibility to what you're
I think it's absolutely essential. You know, I think anybody who's younger, who can have a mentor who's been there, done that, who's been in the same seat as they have, who's gone and ran the same routes they have day in and day out, and you know, someone who's had a little bit of success, such as myself. I think you take heed to, you know, what that person says, and not only that, but I feel like as we build a relationship with these kids, they'll start to understand the techniques that we're teaching and that I'm bringing to the table. And what happens is that they hear me say it, and eventually they try to work on it. But when they're in a situation where they're actually having to utilize that technique and it works, that's when you get them. That's when they buy in. When what you're teaching them actually works. Because I don't care who you are, if what you're teaching doesn't work, the kids aren't going to buy into it.
Do you say, you know, when I was with the Saints?
Oh yeah,
do you talk like that?
Every once in a while. I try not to, you know, reach too far back in the goodie bag. But, you know, I feel like, you know, when you're able to draw upon your experiences that you personally have experienced and how it relates to life on or off the field, I think the kids can gravitate towards that, because, you know, like I said, they know you've been there, they know you've done that, and essentially they're trying to get to that position themselves.
Now, I know you're friends with Phil McGagan. What were some of the things he passed on to you about this wide receiver unit?
You know, more so intel about each and every individual. You know, everyone's like I said, they're individuals. Each one's got their own issues, so to speak, good and bad.
Right.
And I won't get into that. But, you know, overall, I would say that the group is an excellent group of kids. They're all hungry. They all want to compete. They all want to play. So, you know, it's just now a matter of managing the talent, and I think that's a that's exactly what it comes down to, is actually managing that talent and giving them the tools so they can go out there on the field and succeed.
Is there anything you've seen out there made you go, wow, through the first couple days of practice?
I think the speed, you know, it's nice to get back to the speed of the game. The last place I was at, University of San Diego, it was a Division I AA school. So, you know, a different athlete, completely different athlete. Just like when you get to the league, you notice the speed of the game is on a whole different level. So it's nice to see the speed again, the speed and the athleticism out there on that field that's being exhibited. It's nice. It's a nice breath of fresh air for sure.
Jerome, were you in the area at Phil's recruiting turf, or were you kind of taking the same areas he did?
Yes,
going
yes,
to 575?
that's the plan right now. You know, getting familiar with those recruiting areas is going to be essential for me. Reaching out, establishing those relationships with the coaches, and even today we have a coaching clinic right now. And we have a couple. I've had a chance to meet some of the coaches in my recruiting area. So it's just a matter of me getting familiar and establishing those relationships, which I think ultimately is essential to all recruiting.
What's it been like the last several weeks incorporating yourself into this thing, tying things up in California and changing your life, so to speak?
You know what? I mean, I've done. Fortunately enough, I've had the experience of doing it a couple times. You know, whether you get cut or you get traded or new contract to a different team. So I've kind of gone through this process a number of times, but it's never easy. Moving's never easy. You know, you got to pack up the whole show and kind of get your feet on the ground again. And so I'm kind of still going through that transition, but I know I'll get there eventually.
I know it's a young receiving group. Are you seeing some guys take leadership roles out there?
Absolutely. You know, one of the guys who's probably had one of the receivers who has the most experience, Sterling Griffin. I mean, he's done an excellent job. The kids look up to him. He's a consummate, collegiate pro out there, I guess you could say. He's always out there doing the right things. He understands the offense, and the kids gravitate towards him. He just has that natural. Sometimes leaders, aren't necessarily born, but they're groomed over a certain time period, and he's really taken to that. And I think that he wants to be a leader, and the kids follow him. The kids take his heat.
All right, gang. We're going to
Thank
flip
you.
with Coach Kyle.